We are live. Aloha, folks.
Hello.
Oh, and let's see if my chat is going to work. Well, that's interesting. I don't see anything in my chat.
It says private.
It says
public.
Oh, where? Let's see. Okay.
It says private.
Oh, it doesn't show anything at all. Private chat. Privately chat, public chat, comments.
That's what you want public.
I don't even see that. Well, hi, everybody. If you guys are here, and I'm trying to sort out my comments because I don't have any. Do you see any comments, Giselle?
No, it's just it just says private chat, but I don't know. My technology skills here are pretty.
Well, let's see. I'm going to try and post a comment.
Here we go. Nancy's here. Hi, Nancy. Hello, Penelope.
Oh, yeah. Penelope, that's me, Sissy. Hi.
There you go.
And here is Nancy from A Crone's Intuition. Hi. Aloha. Thanks so much for joining us. And please, thank you for popping in and help me welcome my very, very special guest and most adored friend over in the UK, Giselle from Madwitch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Thanks so much for being here.
It's lovely. I mean, chatting to you, we've had a couple of lives, but it's like talking to an old friend, and we have such a giggle. So, yeah, it's just a nice way to spend Sunday evening. Thank you.
Cool. And today, what I have in mind, since I have Giselle here, and I can present this question to her, it is something that I have wondered about for many, many years, and that is what it really means when we use the word witch. It means so many things to so many different people all around the world, and I wanted to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, it's a good conversation. I like that.
As Giselle and I were chatting before we came on, and I said there's been times in my life when I have referred to myself as a witch and it was fine. There's times when I've never referred to myself as a witch when I've said, no, that's not me. And then there's been times when it's been problematic. So, and there's Gerald. Hi, Gerald. Aloha.
Hi, Gerald.
Thanks for
Sorry, I don't know everyone in the room.
Hi.
Hi,
everybody else is greeting. Oh, and hang on. Sorry. Everybody knows my my mod skills are a mediocre mod. I'm a mead mod, so
I think you're doing really well. You're doing better than me. I have to have my daughter, so I'm kind of, I cheat.
Yeah.
I just got to say, Nancy, you did a terrific job on your trolls house. I'm very jealous. And there's Morse. He's here. He's with us.
Oh,
he has to go everywhere with me. My
cool.
daughter was trying to plait his hair the other day, but he wasn't having any of it. So, but here he is. And I don't know if you've been on the Facebook group, but yeah, Nancy's gone and got another one, another witch troll, and she's made a house for her trolls. So I've got a bed just for Moss, but she has a whole little house. So yeah, very clever, Nancy.
That's cool. Oh, and here's Jamie. Jamie's just popped in. Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for coming. Aloha. The next time Ginger Faye and I are doing a live, I should bring in my fairy house that I made. Yeah. It's more like a fancy fairy tent. Well, okay, I got the foundation of it at the Salvation Army, and I made I kind of made the.
I want a doll's house. I could make a troll's house. What a great idea! I love it. Have you posted it on the New Moon Witches Facebook group?
No, I will though. But
I'll show, because when I showed Moss, that was it. All the witches went out there and started buying trolls. So now, of course, I can't get one because they've all bought them. So if you go on there and put fairies on there, then they'll go out and buy all the fairies, and I might get the trolls.
Okay. Yeah,
So yeah,
it's out
go
on my lanai. I have a big pot of aloe that it sits beside, and there's a lovely calm Buddha, and I've got some shells and heart-shaped corals for them, and I have a little homemade pottery bowl that I gave them for their bathtub. So that's my little fairy corner.
don't listen, Moss, because I don't have a bathtub for you. So don't listen. Shh. So,
Yeah. sorry, I've now poked that bear. He's
you now
gonna
know
be
why.
yakking at you forever
Now
now.
know why I'm called Mad. Yeah. So
Oh,
we were talking about the connotations regarding the word witch. I know it's an interesting. I mean, for me, it's an interesting subject. If you're not into witchcraft, then it probably isn't. But I mean, I came from a Christian background. I didn't have witchcraft in my family that was active, should I say. But then I also believe that witchcraft it's got a kind of a two-edged. It's a two-edged sword. Either people cross themselves and throw holy water at you, or they think you're mad, which my children do, or they buy into the whole TV series of what witchcraft might mean, and that's kind of a shame. And I think the problem is that one of the reasons why when I took up the craft, I did come really quite soon out of the broom closet and said, yeah, I resonate with the term witch, and I believe that it is something to be really proud of, and I am. And I think the problem is even I have to be a little bit careful, because although I am very lucky that I am predominantly out the broom closet, there are aspects of my life where I would have to be considerate to other people, because people think that if they don't think you're mad, they think you are worshipping Satan. And the irony is that witches don't believe in Satan. I believe in evil. I know that evil exists. I understand that. But witchcraft is predominantly 50 shades of any color you want. It's as broad as it is, wide, and there's no hard and fast rules. And so when somebody asks you if you're a witch, I would definitely say absolutely yes, I am. But my children might say to me, well, you don't fly a broomstick, theoretically. Your magic is what? Well, I'm an earth witch anyway, and I work with nature in my capacity as a witch. So it's quite not mundane. That's the wrong word, because it isn't mundane. It's beautiful. Working with nature and exploring nature is something that's everybody's gift, and it's just how you work with it and how you explore it. So I think when I started talking about witchcraft on my channel, I am very proud to call myself a witch, but I recognize that the term witch sadly brings out every different kind of crazy. And but I embrace it, and I think it's important. And why I particularly picked up why I started the Facebook group for the New Moon Witches was because there are, and this is something else I believe, is the energies are quickening, and I'm not hugely well, I don't think I'm intuitive, I've told you that, but I do think there's a massive change, and there are energies within the earth that are changing to support the earth, because we are making so many mistakes with it. And a lot of older witches are coming out of hibernation because they're being pulled to. Hello, Jamie. Hi, sweetheart. Lovely to see you. So, yeah.
hello.
So, yeah, that's kind of, so I created the Facebook group so that witches could talk and share practice. I like to support witches because we are varied. And I know lots of lovely ladies, not so much men, but well, maybe men that don't call themselves a witch, but actually what they do I would count as witchcraft. But again, that varies. So yeah.
And I love that Jamie's saying the same thing here. She lives in a conservative town. Being a druid is not something I can share with outsiders, but it also isn't something I hide.
Really? Wow.
The practice is equated with Satan as well, which is BS. And the reason I held my arm up, Giselle, when you were talking about the Satan worshiping association is because I think when I was like 7 or 8 years old, going to Sunday school, and they were talking about heaven and hell and the devil, I was like, stupid. There was something just within me that I've never believed in that Satan character. I've just never believed it. And it rings so true. A lack of understanding or willingness to learn causes many problems. Gerald, yes, thank you. And here's Nancy says, I believe I've always been a witch, but a quiet one because of public opinion and opposition. However, at this stage of my life, I'm claiming my nature witchness. Nature is my altar. Yeah. And I loved what you said about that it's mundane. And the reason I loved that is because it's a lifestyle. It's a practice.
Yeah.
And with it comes an essence of service to contribute positively to your environment, right?
Yeah. Wiccans, I think, tend to see it as a religion, or at least certain people. So, I don't see it as a religion. It is a way of life for me. It absolutely is, and it has to come into every aspect. I've just started my Druid Bard training, but I've never heard that associated with witchcraft or Satanism here. And interesting enough, I think if I told people I was a Druid, although that's not actually what I don't know what Jamie would tell me that I suppose Bard is the technical term, but people wouldn't, I don't think that would intimidate people the way witchcraft would here.
Yeah.
But they do go together.
But here, this is my sister Penny. Said she's been called a necromancer.
Wow.
There's a story when my sister she moved to the Pacific Northwest a long time ago. And I remember her saying that she had some neighbors that kind of would give her side eye a lot. And she came home one day to find a blue velvet Jesus painting on her doorstep. The blue velvet Jesus. So, yeah.
I think religious, I have a Catholic background. I have quite a lot of connection even now with Catholicism. And I think the problem is that when you start to read about witchcraft, you do get drawn into the history of witchcraft, and then you realize that actually so much of it predates obviously any Christianity, and so much of Christianity has actually adopted so much paganism. And of course, when you start to take the Bible apart and you find out exactly where all that came from, then your eyes are like saucers, because you suddenly realize that what people, all that, bullshit and all that, PR that was started by Christianity, and you think, my God, they did a good job. And it's because I think it's because they want to shout the loudest, and it's really sad. And I know a lot of Christians who are lovely, but I know an awful lot more witches who are far more kind and considerate and sharing, and they walk their talk. Whereas, and I this isn't a broad statement, but you'll get people who believe themselves to be religious, and they will go to church, they will say their prayers. Hi, Jonathan. They will ask forgiveness, and then they'll leave and go off and do it all again. Whereas when you're in the craft, you actually have to walk your own morality and your own integrity. And for me as a crone, as well as just not just a witch, but as a crone, I have to own my sovereignty. I have to come into that sovereignty as a woman of a certain age. That empowers me even more. So it's even more important for me to speak my truth, to speak the words of the witch, because it is for the next generations to come, and I will be one of those ancestors that one day will be passing back. And I need to make sure that what I put out there is right. I mean, we're all human, but I want my witchcraft to be first and foremost. It's what I live and breathe.
And I love that, Giselle. Thank you so much for that information. I mean, it just feels, it seeps into my marrow as something that resonates with me very strongly. And what also baffles me is how far the pendulum did swing from people living in agricultural communities with a town center, and within the town center there would be shops and exchange fairs, and the blacksmith worked with the herbalist, and the innkeeper partnered with the farmers, and it was like a more of a cooperative kind of sustainability of people supporting each other. And the herbalists and the healers were looked at as practitioners that contributed to everybody's well-being, and it's turned into what?
Yeah. I think again, when you read about all the burnings and all the way witches, obviously back in the day were, horrendously killed in various formats. It is hard to imagine, but then if you look at religion across the whole history of religion, the amount of wars and bloodshed in the name of religion. What I like, though, I mean, again, for all I might be a crone, I'm still, I'm learning. I'm learning from scratch almost. There's a lot of stuff I've always done that I would never have termed as witchcraft, but is in nature, is in keeping. But I've got so much to learn and so much to interweave into my practice, and you never stop learning, obviously. But the lovely part about it is it doesn't kind of matter what age you are or where you are on your path, because it's that living, breathing cycle that you're constantly in, and it's ever changing. And my study program is ridiculous because I keep going off on tangents. I read something, or I like something, or I get involved in something, and then before you know it, I have a million books I want to read. And I haven't been this excited since I had Cindy dolls when I was a little girl.
What are those Cindy dolls? I don't know those.
They're the equivalent of Barbie. I feel really sad for Cindy. She had dark brown hair quite often, as opposed to the blonde Barbie. So I'd be Cindy, you'd be Barbie. And they kind of got ousted out, but it's all I grew up with, and I used to love them, and I'd spend hours, and I think in my imagination playing, because I was an only child. And I love that. What growing up, becoming a crone, my children leaving home and being a grandmother has allowed me to revert back with child eyes to the craft. And I absolutely love the fact that Moss and I have conversations. I have a whole community of trolls now with other witches, because they love, that childlike innocence. You start to see nature in a different way, rediscovering the knowledge and practitioners that have been lost. In
the last century with over-industrialization. Boy, that resonates so strong for me, Jamie, let me tell you. And Jonathan says, that's the thing, we're the maiden, mother, and crone all rolled up into one. Word, hallelujah. Yeah.
And Jonathan and I are part of this Merlin study group. And when you start to study the Merlin tarot, you kind of get thrown down a rabbit hole because you're back into Arthurian and Merlin legend and the Morrigan and Morgan Le Fay, and it's all kind of on, it all links together, and Avalon and everything else, and before you know it, you're trundling off down another path. But with witchcraft, I can remember when I started to get outside more, and although I'd always loved nature, I saw things with a change in vision. You know, things I would have seen as a child that I would have intently seen that I didn't see, you know, as a mother or whatever. Suddenly I was back, and my family despair of me, Betsy. My children are genuinely worried about their mother because she does more childlike things, and they don't get that. They didn't see that side of their mum, and I think they worry.
Well, you know, they'll get it someday. They'll understand it someday when they find themselves out in nature when they're older, and they'll become fascinated by a stick or a stone or a piece of moss, and then all of a sudden it'll click in their brain like, oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Now I remember why this is coming up. Now I remember this connection. It'll come back.
I did it with the grandchildren. We went for a walk in this beautiful beach forest, and I was more of a child than my 3-year-old grandchildren, 2-year-old, and of course I was off with the fairies and they were with me, and my daughter stood there like, Mum, you know, come on, we need to walk. And I'm like, no, just leave me, I'm in the moss. And the kids were completely with me on that mentality scale. So when people talk about witchcraft in a negative connotation, I would just say to them, right, come out for a walk with me, come out into nature. And when you know, wherever I go, I end up with leaves in my hair, or apparently I drop feathers wherever I go. So
Wow, I love that. That's awesome.
So I'm forever picking stuff up, and I forget to empty my pockets, and I've got and so if you're going in my handbag, and you know when you're in a shop and you're trying to find something and you're taking everything out your handbag, well, I'm not taking out my credit cards and my purse. I'm taking out stones and feathers, and I found a snail shell that was gifted to me by the goddess yesterday, and bird seed. If I put my hand in my pocket, bird seed comes out all over the place. So that's me.
Yeah.
So that's
I love it. And you know, I want to mention, guys that are gang that's in the chat, if anybody has any questions for reading, go ahead and pop it in. I'll try and keep up. But I'm more than happy, and Giselle, if you want to chime in with that, you're more than welcome to as well. Hang on, here's something nice. Nancy says her daughter-in-law is a witch and she owns it. I'm so proud of her. Yay.
That's lovely. That is lovely to have it running through the family.
And here's Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. Aloha.
Hi, Rochelle.
Thanks for popping in. Welcome. Yeah, everybody is chiming in about stones, leaves, feathers, bark, and twigs. And yeah, Jonathan says he can relate.
Jonathan, when you come to England, I'll take you off into the forest, and you can lie in and do the leaf angel thing. And you know, I mean, if I could climb trees, I probably would. I've been known to try. I mean, you know, I think it is one of the most magical experiences. But if you ask the youngsters about magic, that's not their kind of magic. So, and it's kind of why the witching and wafflings I bring in co-hosts, because I want them to I want the knowledge to be out there. And there are so many wise witches who have got so much to share. And I want them to be heard. So, you know, I think I'm more of an enabler. I sort of just put everybody else in.
So you work with all the things in the nature and the fae. Do you incorporate anything from like the angelic realm, or?
I'm trying to. I mean, for me, the goddess. One of the hardest things when I I came away from religion long before I came to witchcraft, but I kind of didn't want deity. but I ended up with deity. And what I reconciled myself with was that the goddess energy is described by the different goddesses for what they bring to the table. So that's kind of how I related that to it. And yeah, like Jamie's saying, I would probably say that my connection would be with tree spirits. When I the middle of last year, I connected with Elder Mother, and she led me to this ancient orchard, where I then connected with apple trees, and then further afield, and now wherever I go, I connect with trees very quickly, and I can see their faces very quickly. But the actual realm of spirit is an area that I would say I possibly, because I had experiences when I was young, I have kind of veered away from. So I'm not it's not that and I think I need to reincorporate that at some point, and maybe that's something that you might help enable me to do. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know what kind of work, how you work with spirit, how you said that, you know, people can ask questions. What kind of questions do they ask you?
Yeah, one I get pretty much all the time, I would say it's consistent, is who's my spirit guide? and
Okay.
and that
Who's my spirit guide?
Like, well, that would be like asking, if somebody asked you, what is the one thing that's my guide in nature? Wouldn't you get a giggle out of that, because there's just so many influences. I think it can be helpful for people, for folks to identify one particular guide to align with and feel like they can communicate with at will. But I don't believe in one guide, one person kind of thing. I think it's all quite fluid. Yeah, very fluid.
You have a group, don't you, that you connect with for working? Is that how it works for you?
I get everything.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning. Aloha. Yeah, and Jamie says pantheism. Yeah, boy, that is it. Absolutely. It's everything.
Ren was talking about pantheism and talking about a book on her channel, and I kind of thought I might look into that, but not now, because I just have too much study on my plate. But I think that's part of the Druid side of things. Everything is very much about the spirit of anything, a stone, but that's also quite Druid as well. So I can feel more now tree spirit, and I know when a stone wants me to pick it up. I know when a stone doesn't want me to pick it up. I know when the breadcrumbs are being left. But the spiritual, and it's not that I don't sometimes get told things, because I did my initiation, and I was given a very clear message about something to do with tarot, and I'm like, that's, I really wanted to buy a couple of these decks, and I got a very clear no. Stick with the Merlin Tarot. That's where I want you to go. That's where you need to go, and a few other things as well. So I know intuitively sometimes when something comes through, but equally, spirit in another realm, not so much. I haven't really worked with that. So
yeah,
I'll be interested to has anybody got any questions for you?
Well, I love it, Giselle, that you want to be grounded, because so many folks that are tapping into intuitive things just want to be up in the stratosphere all the time, because it's a fun place to be. There's a reason hallucinogenics are so popular and so banned. It's a lot of fun out there.
I'm out there, but I'm not out there in that way.
For me, on my journey, my ability to have strong connections and to be able to actually be present enough to play my role. And I believe what I do is I'm in service to beings that are much, much wiser than I, that have people that they need to deliver messages to, which they place before me at the right time. I think that's what my job is. And for me to be able to do it and keep myself in the right frame of mind and body, I believe grounding is for me the most important thing. I'm on Earth. I'm able to communicate in this manner for other people because I'm on Earth. And to strengthen my relationship to Mother Earth is what has allowed me to hold this, hold the energy for this, whatever it is, whatever the job is, without flaking, because I've flaked out so many times, gone in too deep and wasn't grounded, wasn't present, wasn't in the moment, and just really wigged out. And so I love it that you are that much in tune with the earth and the elements. To me, that just makes me happy.
Well, I'm a Virgo, so I'm an earth element anyway. But that said, I do have a tendency to be off all over the place. And I have been told that, sometimes, I mean, I can remember many years ago, I had a channeling reading and I was told I go where angels fear to tread, which was probably is true. But I think that the thing is with me is that because of that earth connection, there is always that need for me to connect with the earth. Whereas I think if you're not maybe an earth witch, you might struggle to connect if you're a water witch or a fire witch. But Jonathan's a Virgo. We're a good crowd. We are definitely. I mean, one of the other things that my channeling reading gave me was that I struggle with balancing the spiritual and the mundane. And this is very true because I will go off and it's all or nothing. So if I go off, that's it. That's me off. You've got a question then from
Gerald. He says, I have a question, if appropriate. The star card has shown up in 3 tarot readings in the last 24 hours. Is there anything you can let me know about this message? Yuck, 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 yuck. Okay, I'm gonna take it down, Gerald, just so you can see me, so I'm not hovering, because, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, so Gerald and I had kind of a curious etherical connection when I did my last live with Ginger Faye. And I remember we were in the process of doing the show, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I was out in the stratosphere and I was connecting to something that I could sense Gerald was psychically connecting. And the energies that were meeting up in the middle were pretty big. And so we're going to have a phone call tomorrow and chit chat about this and explore doing a show together. So I think the star card is just, it's just the lantern on the path as you're going along, that this is coming. This is time for you to explore this topic. Where it goes, we don't know, but it's just the moment to have the conversation, to see what is going on with you intuitively and with guides, because it's definitely out there. It's not earthing. It's not an earthing thing. It's out there. And so, yeah, I can't wait to have that conversation. If you have any more questions about that, please pop it in. But I that's what I believe, is that this with a comedian that in America that says, there's your sign, when something slaps your face over and over again. So that's what I'm getting, is there's your sign. It's time for you to walk this path.
I love breadcrumbs. I love it when I get those synchronicities where and especially when there's more than one, and there's been a few recently, funny enough with the Merlin tarot, but they're just those little connections. You follow the breadcrumbs, you know it's going to lead somewhere. So what kind of questions do you like to be asked, Betsy? What is a good question to ask a psychic medium?
I really enjoy helping people understand how to connect instead of willy-nilly, instead of things happening to them. I love the folks that are in this awakening process that want to understand how to work with it and to begin doing that. And it's really simple, grounding, centering, clearing, keeping your own body clear, keeping your environment clear. I like that the most. People that are starting to wake up and are looking for some direction. That's the number one thing I like. And I also enjoy talking to loved ones on the other side quite a bit, just because they can be so darn funny. People come through and say the damnedest things. I mean, whoa. I have actually had so many surprises. I even had someone's loved one on the other side at a group reading. She was there with two or three of her friends, and this particular questioner. She wanted to connect, I think, with her grandmother, or it was definitely a female ancestor, and they busted her out that she was expecting, and she was just at the place where it was time to be able to tell everybody, aloha, Ginger, thanks for popping in. It was just at the time she was far enough along that she had planned on telling her friends later on that weekend. This was on a Wednesday or Thursday, and she planned on telling them this weekend, and the guides busted her out in the circle. That was it. But they will come through with the craziest stories and the craziest things. So that's a lot of fun too. The hard one is, my relationship. When am I going to get my money, and what should I do next? Those can be a little bit more challenging because they're really broad. And there is the element of free will and our soul's intentions for the lessons in our particular lifetime that, any lesson, any word of a lesson, like the easy one to describe is abandonment. If you came in to explore what abandonment is like, it can manifest in a lot of ways. You could literally be an abandoned baby, or you could be abandoned by the people that were supposed to protect you. You could be abandoned by people that you trusted in business. I mean, there's a lot of ways that can take shape. You could be abandoned by the justice system. There's a lot of different ways that lesson can be played out. So for
there's
any kind
of people who feel it, I think, isn't there? There's a lot of the earth is going to have that kind of experience and that kind of lesson. I know that when I was reading Tuthwin Penry's book, and I mentioned this earlier, there's a part where she talks about, she calls it contemplation. So it's not really quite as heavy as meditation, but you can, and I kind of started doing it. And one of the things that she talks about is sitting there. Hi, Angie. Am I pronouncing that right?
Hi, baby.
Sitting, I sit by my pond actually when I get the chance to do it, and that opening yourself up, allowing your mind to be still and your tongue to be quiet, and so it's very much like meditation. But what I prefer about it is that stillness, where it might even be 5 minutes, and you're kind of opening yourself up to receive something, to really clear the mind from your muddle. I think you've got a question actually.
Yeah. Jonathan,
really,
I'm feeling it too. I've been trying not to call you because I know you've got a lot to do lately. But brother, I miss it. But don't worry, Penny's going to be here on the 19th, so let's set a date, okay? Sorry, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Giselle.
no, it's fine. No, I do that all the time. I know. I think she was just saying really helped me clear up some questions and issues I had. That's lovely. How beautiful. It's
Thank you,
nice when
Lou.
you get that feedback actually, because it just gives you that little bit of I know that I mean I as I say I don't really know how to work psychically, but when I was doing my initiation, I wanted clarification because I felt that although I tell everybody else it doesn't matter when you come to craft whatever it is your path whenever you come to it. I always feel I missed out on like 30 years or longer of doing something that I love passionately, and that kind of sits not badly with me, but it did make me question, and I kind of wanted clarification on that. And as I say, I don't really feel psychic in that way. But what I got a very clear message about was that I didn't need to learn everything from scratch because I don't live in the medieval period. I don't need to learn how to cure a toothache or to do some of the things that the wise women did. I don't need to do that now. What I need to do is make sure that I can communicate with nature and do that. So that really helped me because although I want to study trees and plants and herbs, the pressure was taken off of me straight away because I don't need to know what mixture to put together to put on I might learn the basics, but I don't need to learn, to do herbal surgery. What I just need to do is to sit with some plants and love them and have them communicate with me. So have we any
That's
more questions?
lovely. Yeah, Gerald says, how do you both verify the messages you are being given? I'm curious. And this is such a good question. I'm going to leave it up for a minute. And wait, hi, Ishi. Aloha. Thanks for popping in.
You first then.
Okay, so yes, questioning. You guys know, you hear me repeat it ad nauseum. I have a little ebook on Kindle called You Are Gifted. And the reason it has that title is because everybody sits down and says, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I think I'm going crazy. And I'm afraid to say this because I don't want you to think I'm crazy. And people preface this intuitive information coming through with crazy. The connotation is that it's coming to me and it's in my being, or it's in my mind, or it's in my thoughts. I don't know how it got there. And I've been taught my whole life that if you're hearing voices, you're crazy. So we have to undo that. We need to unravel that thread. So if you imagine you have a nice big thick piece of fluffy yarn that's very tightly wound, it takes a little unraveling. And for me, it was a very long time coming before I was comfortable and confident enough to do readings in public because I did question it for so long. I was told my whole childhood that I had a very vivid imagination, and I was under that assumption. That I had a vivid imagination. So it was through doing this with actual humans, speaking out loud, and having people verify that. And it was initially things very simple. Like one of the first clients I ever saw was, wait, we got to giggle.
It was just Jamie. Not just Jamie, but it was what Jamie said.
Yeah.
Made me laugh.
Also, when you talk to yourself, people think you're crazy. Yeah.
I am crazy.
And Angie, yes.
I love Angie's comment. I mean, if that isn't the witchcraft, the earth witch in its full capacity. I mean, right. To answer my answer would be quite I don't know, quite boring compared to yours, but I don't, I'm not psychic, but what I do get when I get it is very. Do you know how it started? Actually, for me was. I have 4 children and they're grown now, but when they used to go off to the nightclubs or they'd be doing something and you didn't have complete control over them, and I'd get myself really panicked or worried about them, and I'd get this. I can't explain it. It wouldn't be specific words, but I'd get this. I knew that they were okay, or I'd know something. It didn't matter what I was worrying about, but I'd just get this very clear feeling. And it was so different from me reassuring myself, and it kind of grew from there. So when I got to the point where, and I don't get it very often, but when I get it on such a level that I just know it. I know it's. So when I got told it's not important for you to learn every single herb and its properties, I understood the lesson I was being given, because it was resonating on a very different level. And that sounds really quite boring, but it's really hard. It's, I always hoped that I've heard that if you get a message, if you get it twice or 3 times, that clarifies it. But I never really, and no disrespect to you, Betsy, but I haven't been to a medium psychic in many years. So there's nobody for me to verify that with. But, yes, I talk to myself. I even argue with myself. And I often lose those arguments too. But when it comes to knowing something, it's just, I don't know, it's just there, and it just doesn't happen. Yeah, it doesn't. I don't have voices in my head. It's only mine. But that it's a feeling.
And I think that's equally valid. I mean, sometimes some people hear it, some people see pictures, some people just know it in their bodies, and I think it's all valid. I think that kind of knowing when it's in your body and you just know it, but you can't explain it, I think that is something that can challenge a lot of people because they can't explain it. And it's what my guides have told me about that is that we're limited by the symbols of our language. The description hasn't really been invented in human language that is a succinct explanation for that. When I first started doing work in public, I was too scared to do individual readings, so I just trans-channeled for a group for a while. I did it for about 1.5 years, and it was great. I love it, and those people to me are still so precious that they thought that it was important to sit there and listen to it, because it wasn't me. It was just things coming out and answers to questions, but it was really guides way up and out there. And that kind of got me over the hump on that one. I call it the rookie year of just trying it out. But the continual validations, it comes through when you're willing to do it, when you're willing to communicate in our spoken language with people or written language, validations will begin to come back to you to know. So you can know that you're doing the right path, that this is valid, what you're doing has meaning, and people appreciate it. Those things come through. I see oranges sometimes when I'm starting a reading. Why am I seeing oranges? And somebody will say, oh, I had an orange before I came, or oh, I took a bag of oranges to a friend. So the validations come, and then it's just a matter of accepting. Yesterday, I had someone call me, a total stranger from San Diego, who was trying to locate a friend of theirs on Maui. And I knew who the person was, but they were not a friend of mine. And the caller was fairly distraught, and she was somewhat psychic about it. And she was afraid that he was in trouble. And I finally asked the guides, well, I have to know somebody that knows him. Who do I know? And they told me who to call. So I called and I said, hey, you're going to think this is a weird question from out of the blue, but do you know where so-and-so is? And she said, well, the answer's stranger. Yeah, he's in jail.
Wow. Okay.
And she told me the whole thing. So then I sat with it for a few minutes and I said, well, I better call this other person back because they had already called me twice. I better call him back and let him know. And the minute I decided I should pick up my phone, she rang and said, guess what? My son just found out where he is. And I said, I was just going to call you. And she said, well, it's just it's so weird. How did I find your ad in an old magazine? And how did I call you and you answered the phone? And then you knew. And I was like, oh, that's not weird. She said, you don't question that? And I said, no, I don't question it anymore. That to me is.
I think, I mean, you know, as an earth witch, and that's how I do describe myself. I think that, you know, I know there are timings involved. So I know that my first year when I did my devotion was quite I don't know about traumatic, but it was definitely insightful. And then I came into my second year and I've been kind of, I can feel things moving. It's like being part of a chessboard where, you know, things come up at the right time. And so I think there is part of me that will need to open up to that psychic side, but I'm not, I don't feel the calling to do what you do, but I like the connection I have with that. I mean, when I do my altar most mornings, I will always connect with the goddess energy, and I will always I talk constantly to the universe. The universe doesn't have to worry about my thoughts because I put them out there verbally. So the question now is how I stop talking and let them talk to me.
Well, the answer that I got on that one is, you know, no, not at all. Not at all. It's, I had a mentor who taught me that all that is required of us, the only thing that is ever required of us is a pin dot's worth of willingness. So imagine taking a pin or a thumbtack and poking it in a piece of paper. The size of that hole is what he's referring to. All that is required of us is a pin dot's worth of willingness. So for you to be out in nature, making your connections and thinking about what you would like to or need to or are supposed to incorporate, that's your willingness. And the other side of that, the reply to that from the guides is, thank you. If we need you, we'll let you know.
Yeah. And I think also, especially as a witch, for me, it's about where, I mean, there are witches who are going to have specialist skills, maybe quite a few. Whereas I think that, you know, for me, it's more about having a much more specific role. So my garden, growing herbs or vegetables, I mean, I never expected to be called into this, if you like, or opened up to or awakened to this. So I get it. If I'm required to do something, it will happen. And even maybe to a degree without your consent, because the one thing that I put out there is I want to walk my soul path. And I'd love to know what my soul path is, but I think the trouble is if they tell me that, then that's kind of half the work that I'm supposed to be doing for myself. So half the work is that I have to explore. And witches, one of the first thing that witches learn, or I did, is the age-old saying is know thyself. And of course, that is a very small sentence, but it is a incredibly deep one. And I am learning things about me that I would never have known. That, you know, I thought I knew me.
That's beautiful.
So
I'm stuck with
that.
No, that is so beautiful. And I get the impression that you're doing everything that is required of you, that you're doing it beautifully and
I've often
softly.
said, but I have
They're
often
showing
with
they're
my
showing me
God.
right now that your road is paved with velvet. Your road
Oh,
is paved with velvet. So
I love
and they're
that.
talking about, how you like to pet moss. Um, yeah, that is what your path at this point is supposed to.
I love
That's how
that.
it's represented. It's not a rocky path. It's not a hill. It's not a
Wow.
valley. It's not rough. They're showing me that your road is paved with velvet right now.
Oh, I love walking barefoot in moss, and that is as good a velvet as you're ever going to get. I've often said, because my life has been quite a lot of dead ends and rocky, and I firmly, now as a witch, when I look back at that, I will look back at it and go, well, do you know what? They were all learning lessons. They were all, it doesn't, the more mistakes you make, the more lessons you actually learn. And I can see that now. And also, as a witch, I now am kinder to myself than I would have been as a Christian. Way kinder, more tolerant with myself, more understanding, more prepared to be gentle with my mistakes, my inabilities, and also my vulnerability. Because although I come across, and my kids always think I'm very strong, there's another side to me. And the more you're connecting, I used to say to when people used to talk about psychic abilities in their spirit guides, I'd say mine's taken a Valium and an extended holiday because I'm a nightmare. Who would take me on? They'd be popping all these pills. So that's really actually a lovely, lovely thing to gift me, to tell me that I'm walking velvet, because I absolutely love that. Thank you, Ginger.
And again, anybody, if you have a question, if you'd like a reading, we've still got a little bit of time here, so pop your question in.
I love Gerald. That's lovely. Know thyself is wonderful. This includes understanding my intentions, managing my expectations, and believing in myself. Yeah, I mean,
expectations, yeah. Right?
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And my expectations include many, many books. And that's crazy. Ginger, you're lovely. Thank you so very much. Yeah, see, Candy, I agree. My poor guides, I've always said this years ago, like they went on an extended holiday and took Valium. and I will go back to it. I shouldn't say it, but I put this post up on Instagram ages ago about the fact that I go where angels fear to tread, because it was what I was given in a channeling, and it absolutely is me. And this lovely guy came back to me, and I don't really even know him, and he said, the angels will follow you wherever you go. And I thought that was so sweet. And I thought, if you only knew that they're probably behind me going, no, red flags flying, but no, off I go. Doesn't matter what it is. And when I start, I don't stop and I don't go back. If I start, I keep going, and I fall down flat on my face and I get back up. And every time I do, my face is in the dirt. I'm going to smell that gorgeous soil. I'm going to be part of that connection to nature. I'm going to just get back up, and I love it. Jonathan, I think, wants a general reading.
Yep. And just before we do that, I'd like to say that I don't believe the guides are ever upset with us. I think it's for them, they're watching the show. And when we do this crazy stuff, they're always in support of it. I mean, because it's experiential. That's why we're here. There's no right or wrong. Every effort is still an effort, and you're still out here peopling and trying to do it. And yeah, I could go on and on about that one. Lovely perspective. I lost my spot. Jonathan wanted a general reading. Well, what I am getting for you straight off the bat is an image of a funnel cloud of like a tornado kind of energy, the stuff going around and around, and you're down at the bottom in the center holding an amethyst crystal. And it's not a dark one, it's a pale one that's like a lavender to clear. And so this is not like a need for healing. This is for you, for your connection to the divine. That they're talking a little bit about a need for a spa day for Jonathan, where you need to go. They're saying 24 hours would be optimal, but there's a process they're looking at. And they're saying the reason the spa day would be beneficial is because if you know you have this day to yourself and everything in the human world is being handled for you that day, so you can let it all go, that you don't have to have any concerns about it. Is somebody going to be picked up on time? Is this going to, these little details, that everything of that can be put to the side. And they're saying again, a spa day is great. They're insisting 24 hours will get everything done in one shot, one day, one shot without question. So okay, this is like a shamanic journeying kind of a day, to use the spa aspect of it, whether it be soaking in some kind of a mineral bath, salt bath, with herbs or whatever. They're saying acupuncture could work. They're saying, anything, drumming, smudging, sweat lodge, any one of those things that you're already very well accustomed to working with, could implement this journey for you, that there is information waiting, but we need to get rid of all the stuff around you to get there. That they're talking about a simplification of lifestyle, and really honing down into this one spot. They're talking about they're hinting around a little bit about like what they said the other day. I remember with some information that I'd received the other day, was they're showing you as that's why the shaman stick wanted to come in, to represent that they're trying to impress upon you your role as in a leadership position as a mystic, and that you will have a group of people around you, but you are definitely going to be the head of the household on this one. And they're talking about that they want you to want that as well, that it's not something that's imminent, it's not something that is right now, if you don't want it to be, if it's the timing stinks, if it's inconvenient, but they're just insisting that this is your path. If that makes sense, if that's helpful at all.
I think Gerald wanted to add something to that, Betsy.
Sure.
I think he's asked something to what you said about Jonathan. And
let me see if I can find it.
It's just
oh yeah, yes, absolutely, please do. Oh, and Angie says, okay, so Jamie says she's got to go. Thank you for coming, Jamie. Thank you so much for being with us.
And you've got Ginger next, who would like a general reading, and then McCorma artist Ishi. Sorry.
Okay.
I think that's everybody who's asked for a general reading. Jonathan, are you in the Hanged Man year then? Is that's an interesting card. Oh, that's I like that.
Yeah. Gerald, if you have something to add, please do. And actually, Penny's above Ginger. Best way to connect and communicate to the whales.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I missed that one.
All I see is us out on the kayak. We're to dunk you right away. That as soon as you get here, on the first opportunity, to get you in the water with the snorkel gear on and get you down underneath to hear them singing. That when you start to hear the song, you're going to understand it.
Gerald's come back to you. It feels like he is in a leveling up in his skills.
A leveling up. Yeah, I agree. I agree. It feels like stepping into something. Well, Jonathan's kind of in that age in his 40s that we really start to trust ourselves a lot more. And I think it's, yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. 100%.
There you are, Jonathan. You're polishing up like a diamond. So I shall be delighted to find out what you bring to the Merlin Tarot group, because this is such a deep dive, and it's like we've just gone down a rabbit hole. So I'm looking to you.
So Ginger would love a general. Okay, they're asking me to pull one card. So I've got the standard RWS here. Ginger phase. Let's see if the cards will
Is that your preferred choice, Betsy? Are you RWS?
You know, I'm just not much of a cards person at all, so I just pick up whatever deck they tell me to. Okay, and here is our card, the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so they're telling me that they're trying to rein you back in a little bit. If you have this grand plan that they're reining you back in just a little bit. Wait a little while. They're talking about 3 weeks of information coming to you that's going to be really helpful on your process of going where you're going. I know you've been talking about doing a channel, and we did talk about this a little bit about wanting to wait till we get out of Mercury retrograde, and they're saying, yes, absolutely. Because what the number one thing is here, the number one thing is that you need to feel the most comfortable in your skin on this launching, that they want you to be, even if it takes you a lot longer to get up and running than you had hoped, they want you to be so excited about it and so ready for it that you're pulling on the reins, that you've got the bit in your teeth and you're just dying to get to it.
I got the Magician upside down for you. So I think it's a question of just not, it's not all coming together, that above and below just yet. It's a time for, just waiting, maybe. I always see, I mean, I know people don't read TDM upside down, but it came out that way. So it kind of worked with what you were saying, Betsy.
Yeah, I don't think that's any big. I don't think that's any big surprise. I think Ginger pretty much knew that, and just it's just a confirmation on that one. That
I love your Ginger. I love your Facebook group, and it was an absolute delight to watch you and Betsy the other day. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I loved it. We're going to do more. And you know what? Ishi has a question too about a general, and they're telling me to pull the chakra deck, my little chakra cards, that this is for you is working on. You're working on a chakra today in my world. And is that it? That's the one? Okay. Back to the basics. Root chakra, lovely safety. So what's going on that has you questioning if this is the right thing to do, or something is coming up it just feels like a trembling in your foundation. It doesn't feel like this is earth shaking, life changing. This is a trembling, and it could be it feels like it's related to like society as a whole, the direction where we're going. Wait, I'm missing something.
No, she's just telling me she loved me, and I love you too, Ginger.
Oh, yes. We always put out the little bit of love. So Ishi,
it's such a great group.
Yeah. So what is going on? This feels like it's kind of an everyday kind of tremor. It's like they're showing me like the grocery store. Am I going to be able to find the goods that I'm seeking today? How's the supply chain? Am I going to find what I'm looking for right now? This is what it's boiling down to. Am I going to be able to find what I'm looking for right now? And so they're saying, if it's the appearance of the world around you that seems like this is where the questions are coming from, your team is asking you to go here, and to reconnect just a bit and just spend some time with your sense of safety, because when you return to that spot, you know already that you're safe, that you will continue on to do everything and accomplish everything you came here to do. So to remind yourself of that right now, and to also remind yourself of the things that you want for yourself right now, because that is going to bring you back to what's true and what's real, and all the illusion around you will be gone. They're saying it's like a glamour. It's like a fairy glamour in front of you right now that looks like one thing, but it's an illusion. To come back to your tried and true knowing about your safety and your place in the world and your presence, and allow that illusion to be melted away from you. And I hope that helps.
Wow. Ishi's also wanting a reading, I think, Betsy.
Yeah, that was Ishi.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
that was
I lost the plot there. Nothing new with me. Nothing new with me. Sorry.
No.
I got lost in the. I'm you. See what I mean?
Hey,
don't rely on me.
Keep up with the chat. Yeah, that was for Ishi in general. And they wanted me to go there. And if you would like to add something to that, Giselle, please, by all means.
Don't. Do you know what? I can't even hold my own cards right now. Hold on. Hold on, Ishi. I will pull you a card for you. Bless you. It probably won't help you at all. Oh, I'm getting them all upside down today, but I got the star. So, yeah, my little star card, which I kind of think that, yeah, I don't read upside. I don't read reversals. Just I don't know how many people do, but I kind of try to take it in. And what you were saying, I don't know, maybe that does work with it, because the star card for me is about the maybe you need to be looking at those little gems that are on the ground. And I always remember when I started to do grounding with the tree and the roots and the branches and everything, I found that it was a really lovely part of the process when you go into the earth to see all the crystals and all the gems. So to me, the star card upside down is kind of like looking at those little stars and gems and crystals in the earth. I missed that. I understand. Yeah, restless is in the best. I have to express this feeling to be where I am,
but ready for what is planned, and when and how are unsettled. Right. So the when and how that's unsettled, they're telling me that's the fairy glamour that is out there in the 3D world, and to stick with happy to be where I am. Happy to be where I am. To stick with that side of your statement. Yeah.
No, I don't read reversals either. Yeah, I mean, I don't normally, but I just thought it kind of worked with what Betsy was saying, and that sometimes instead of looking up at the stars, we need to kind of look at the path ahead of us and our feet. And
because
yeah, exactly. And as I say, I don't normally work, especially with TDM decks, but it felt right. And that's the lovely thing, isn't it, about witchcraft and tarot, is that, and if I ever say never, you can guarantee that that's going to be challenged in me. So the fact that I say I never work with reversals, 2 reversals, but they work with what you're saying, Betsy, and that that's how I saw it. I think sometimes we just need to look at our feet and follow where they go, and it can be a very, I do hate this word mundane, a very earthly experience, but there are gems in the earth just as there are stars in the sky. So
absolutely. And I love that the star was reversed, because all the possibilities, they're telling you where to look for them.
Yeah, the grass isn't always greener, is she? You've still got to mow it, apparently, whether it... But you know something? Said, I am not a grass lover. I am a moss lover, and when they rake the moss up, it's like the worst thing you could do to me. So who chooses grass over moss? I mean, honestly, seriously, you don't have to mow moss, and you don't have to cut the grass. I can't get my words out. You don't have to cut moss, and it's forever green. Works for me.
So Ginger brings up a good point. Mercury retrograde is forcing us to read the energy of reversals.
Don't talk to me about that Mercury retrograde after my last live. Oh my God.
Gerald, and I thought of that too when Giselle got the star card. I was like, well, Gerald has been popping in. He's trusting his intuition and sharing the information that he's receiving, and it's the star card is back. Our good friend.
Oh dear, my cards are all over the place now. Oh, Jonathan, do you mean you love moss as in the green moss, or do you love my moss? Because you got to love my moss, because he's like, he goes everywhere. He made a mini snowman. I mean, he's a clever dude.
Yep. Yeah. When I go on nature walks with people, or when we go hiking, people get so mad at me for stopping to pet the moss, and I'll be like, look at that flower, look at that little flower right there. People will just be like, what are you doing?
Bye, Luna. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, Luna. So Luna brings up a good point. We've been on for an hour 15.
Hasn't felt that long.
I know. This has been awesome. If anybody has, and do you have time for one more question? If anybody wants, we'll do one more.
Has anyone got any more questions?
Giselle, I so appreciate you taking the time out of your life. I know you've had a lot on your plate.
No, I love it. This is where I'm connecting with. That's what YouTube, and although I don't do Instagram, but generally speaking, I think the community is beautiful. Whether you resonate as a witch or not, that the community is absolutely lovely, and I just don't think I've met anybody who hasn't been welcoming and warm and friendly. And I can just I can spend I could chat, it's like we're just in a group with friends. So thank you for inviting me. It's been wonderful. I love it. Do we have another
yes, Candy? Hang on, I want to welcome.
They're fighting for it now.
Yeah. Jonathan says he likes to pet forest moss too. So maybe Jonathan, when Penny's here, if we can, and of course Apollo's welcome, we could go walk the Makawao forest. That would be awesome. We can go pet some moss.
I want to go.
In the fairy forest. Yeah. So Candy says, a general, she's feeling overwhelmed.
Bless her. Big hugs.
Okay. They're asking me to go for primordial tarot on this one. These images, they have really lovely images. And Giselle, if you want to go ahead, and if you've got a card right away, feel free.
Yeah, I don't read for people. That's the only thing. Oh, I've got the Hermit.
Well, I was going to say, wait, are you sure?
This deck, I made myself, and the drawings aren't mine, but it has been the strongest talker ever. And given what you've just said, I think the Hermit card could not have been more. It's only majors, but I absolutely think that sometimes it's a time for. I love the Hermit. It is my card as well. It's a time for inner reflection, time for peace in yourself, to find that quiet stillness in the darkness, which can be very comforting. And when you're ready to shine a light in there, then that's, bye, Jonathan.
He's got to go, parent. Bye. Yes.
This is a time for taking care of yourself, for, being gentle with yourself. So I hope that helps. What have you got?
I've got this card, and I read this one completely intuitively on this deck. Paula from Hecate's Crossing suggested I get this deck for intuitive readings, and I love it. It's perfect. So this person has a leash to the understanding, which she already possesses. So you already know what you need to do. The overwhelm to me feels like, because there's other folks. Hang on, there's a bunch of stuff that jumped out on the ground here. You already know what you need to do to take care of yourself. That other people's influences are not helpful right now. That there's a little bit of conflict between what other people are telling you that you need to do, that you must do, and what you know to be true for yourself.
Hence the Hermit.
Yeah, the Hermit, absolutely. That it may take some courage to stand up for yourself on this one, and it may feel like there's some destructive elements initially to this, that there may be some endings to some important things that revolve around this. But to me, I'm getting this is a necessary path. And yes, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And somebody's screaming the word object, and it to me translates as objectivity. That stepping away from this center of the eye of the storm, stepping back from it, and getting some emotional distance for you. Because there's this link to the emotional caretaking of other people, the emotional expectations of other people, and for you to get some distance here so you can be objective about doing the right thing for yourself and getting the feelings for you about how to take care of yourself to the top of that pot of simmering feelings and emotions and expectations, a big stewing cauldron of stuff. We need to get your emotions out of there and get some distance for you on this one, if that makes any sense. Is it hard? Yeah. Do you need to do what you need to do? Yeah, you do. What happens if you don't? You'll do the best you can with that for however long it takes for that situation to resolve, and then you'll get to do it again somewhere else down the road. It may not be a safe zone time for you to take on this particular challenge, but it's one of your important life lessons. And if it's not manageable at this time, you will get another shot at it. Yeah, okay. And she says that it does make sense. You're welcome. So yeah, that would be reconfirming what you already knew, that this one's a bitch.
You've got Angie also wanted her. I think Angie wanted one as well before you.
Oh wait, this is interesting. It's illegal in Maine to collect moss in the forest. Nice. Oh, yeah. Here, Angie said she would like a general. Okay, they're telling me not to do a card. What's going on? I got a black cat. What's going on with a black cat? Who's the harbinger? Who's the messenger that's been hammering at you lately? There's the black cat is here to say that you've been getting some information, and that it's something that you're very well aware of. You know why it's there. It's not going away. And what'd you get?
The devil, but reversed again. I seem to have nothing but reverses today. That Mercury retrograde.
Well, and that kind of works too. The devil reversed, because the message is presented before you, and you understand it. And
wow.
So what's going on with that? Why is it not the time for action, or why are you hoping that you don't have to act?
Yeah, Candy's black. Cat's been missing. That's I hate that. I hate it when your cat goes missing.
And cats are tough, because if they're on Earth or if they're not on Earth, they talk to you the same. Yeah. Okay, so let me come back to where I was. I'm so sorry, Candy. That's got to be awful.
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on with the black cat then. It may be that it's the black cat, not for Angie. Okay, you're familiar. That's why this is so hard, Candy. I'm so sorry, honey. That's why this is so hard, because she's been missing for 2 weeks, and I'm getting that the cat says that for you, what you need to do right now is to release release them emotionally. That whether this cat comes back to you or not, in that same cat body, or if this cat comes to you in a different cat body, that it's not the end of your relationship, but you need to do a ceremony for the cat that is gone for the past 2 weeks. You need to do a ceremony of thanks for everything that cat brought to you, and ask how you can continue your work together on the path that the two of you travel. It may be that this cat's going to come back in a different cat body, but there's a different path. Oh, I've got chicken skin crawling my legs. There's a different path. It's a new beginning for the two of you as a familiar, in your familiar relationship. And to, yes, absolutely do a ceremony of honor and list every single gift that your familiar brought to you in this lifetime and is continuing to bring to you. New moon coming up, and to ask for a perfect time to set your intention for your familiar partnership to continue. Set that intention for your partnership with your familiar to continue. Whatever words work for you, but that's super strong.
Yeah, Angie's put a message up about the cat, and I've heard that as well. When a cat isn't well, it does tend to. I've had
they go hide.
Cats leave me that way.
They go hide. And Angie's cat was sick the other night.
Let us know, Candy, how things go, because they do come back. My very first cat did come back, but they do go off, and I've had it happen to me 3 times, so I know how that feels.
Well, and I tell everybody, our pets are on loan from heaven for a very short time. Their little bodies wear out in a hurry, especially cats, because they carry so much for us. They're very secretive about all this, about the weight that they carry. So they carry a lot for us, and their little bodies just wear out. So absolutely. We trust that you are in the right space for that one. Yeah, and Penny says finding lost animals is the hardest, because they communicate the same, just like our loved ones on the other side. They communicate actually even more freely on the other side. And let me see if I can come back to Angie. General, and let's see if I can. Okay, the guides are going to cut me some slack on that one. They're telling me that they'll give me a jumper from standard RWS. Where do we go from there? Yeah, still getting cats. Oh. Partnership. Cat partnership. Oh, and yeah, these two kind of came together. The Emperor. Okay. Giselle, did you get a card?
Well, I think I'm going to pull again, I think, because I had the devil reversed.
Oh, that's
but
right.
We kind of got sidetracked. So
yeah, we did.
And I keep losing
because
stay in the pack. Actually,
with the lovers and the partnership, I'm getting the Emperor. There's okay. And what did you get, my dear?
The Hanged Man.
Oh,
it jumped out. So okay. I'm going with the jump. I'm going with the jumper for this one, and he was up the right way.
That goes perfectly for me. That you need to take command of what this situation. Somebody's holding you back.
Nope.
Excuse me. The Hanged Man. It's like, you know better than the other person that there's two approaches to the same issue. Oh, this is good. I'm in a Hanged Man year. I love it. Well,
do you know what? I love these cards. Thank you.
Whatever this partnership is, this thing that you're working with someone else on, they have their opinions. You have your knowing of how it should go, and for you to hold your ground. That I think you're gonna have to put this other person in their place on this one particular situation. It feels like it's not. It does not feel like it's like a personal relationship, an intimate relationship. It feels more nuts and bolts. It feels more like accounting or business kind of thing. So if it is something in your home life, it would be related to finances or foundations or how do we approach handling it. It feels like there's money involved in it somehow, and it could just be about budgeting. It could be about an expense that's come up. It has to do with releasing the past, relationship with a narcissistic dad, and seeing boundaries. There's money involved somewhere in this, and for you to you need to do your thing. You need now. I've got like, it's like a really wisecracking matriarchal energy that goes, "Do your thing, girl. Do your thing. You know you need to." They're telling me to do one more. I'm sorry, Giselle, have you got something to bring to our conversation?
I don't know. I think obviously being in the Hanged Man year is often regarded as being suspended, but in some respects it's a suspension that you are creating for yourself in order to give yourself time to see perspectives and to see things from a different point of view. I don't see the Hanged Man as a negative. I always see the Hanged Man as quite a positive card, because it's kind of like that time out card where you get to just, have a look at everything, maybe with fresh eyes, and I quite like that. So I don't know how the Hanged Man year is going to work out for you, Angie, but I think it is about perception and taking that time out, as opposed to the other side of the Hangman, which is often being restricted and tied up. I don't see it like that.
Yeah. I got a bunch of other cards jumped out too, and it's so funny.
Are you on a no buy year, Angie?
Yeah. So here's an interesting story for you, Angie. Here's your dad.
Wow.
And what I'm saying is, Mr. Know-It-All. And here's your reply to your dad. And here's where you're going. So Ace of Pentacles, you know, coming home. This to me is coming home to what you know is right. And quite frankly, dear, you are just done with this shit. Done with it. This is where you're going. This is where you're going. You are just.
Is that the dad with the knives?
That is, she is done with it. It is just, situation is done. That you've, and what it shows to me, it's like your little, like your let's see. She is, what I spend on clothes, I spent on crystals. Yeah, well, crystals don't go out of fashion as quickly. I see nothing wrong with this plan. But what the feeling I'm getting about this relationship is, it's like your little adrenal gland just says, over it. Like every time you have gotten the red flags, the flares have gone up and your immune system goes, holy shit, here it comes again. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh my God, how do we respond to this? It's like your adrenal glands can't get excited about this anymore, because no matter how alarmed and how awakened you get and rush off to remedy something, the outcome of it is like, no. The outcome of it is like, nah, I got nothing out of all this effort I put into it. I got nothing out of it. It's like, have you ever played bingo at a bingo hall with a bunch of people and you're so excited you only have one square left to go and you're so excited and your heart starts racing and it's like, I know I'm getting that $20 pot this time. It's mine. And then somebody screams bingo and your whole body goes deflated like a balloon. That's the feeling I'm getting. That over and over your system gets brought up to here and you're like, oh boy, and then and the rug gets pulled out from under your feet. It's like Charlie Brown trying to kick the football and Lucy pulls it away every time. No good deed goes unpunished. You don't get credit for all your efforts. And now your adrenal system has said, I got nothing left for you. Don't expect me to contribute to this anymore. No, can't go there.
Ginger says, Betsy, the no bullshit medium. I love it.
And that's mild. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff they've made me say in group.
Oh, wow.
That's mild, yeah. So Angie, yeah, you're done. You're done. It's over. Enjoy
your year.
Enjoy your year. They say you're collecting your articles, and they've shown me a suitcase flung open and everything strewn out. And they're showing me that you're picking these items up one at a time and you're putting them back in your suitcase, and you're going to close your suitcase and you're going to turn around and start walking. So you're on the way. You're on the way. It's going to work out for you.
I hope it goes well.
Yeah, all of our support with you. You've got this. They're showing me it's a done deal. That you've got this. The outcome on the other side is, yes, of course, do your work, but you're going to be happy with the outcome. You're going to be a happier person for it. You're going to love yourself on the other side.
And also, when you're suspended upside down, you get to look at the stars.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, so now we've made it past the 90-minute mark.
You are both. So Ishi says, you are worth the effort you are putting in, but you are very much allowed to step away from negativity. It may feel selfish, foreign, and carry hints of guilt, but there.
Oh, yeah. The other side is going to be lovely.
Hi, Gerald. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for being here, Gerald, and I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. And Angie says, I especially feel the guilt, but I know that will pass. Well, that's the hook. The guilt is the hook to keep you on the line. And And yeah, that one, you're going to get yourself unhooked from it. They're telling me not to try to describe anything about this, but just to know that the guilt is the hook. So just imagine yourself as a fish that's on his fishing pole in the water, and he lets out a little bit of line, and then he reels you back in, but he doesn't let you off the hook, and he doesn't bring you in either. I mean, sometimes don't you feel like, just reel me in and put me in the pan already, just fry me up already? Yeah, but that's his game. That's his game. Yeah. And Ishi says, the guild ebbs and flows, hun. I'm riding that wave, but closer to the shore. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in the UK.
Yes.
So for me, it's now 7 o'clock in the evening. Hence why I'm drinking wine. It's not the morning. I'm not. It's not 7 in the morning for me. Although if it was, I mean, who cares?
Yeah. My gosh, this has been so much fun.
Yes, thank you, Betsy. I've had an absolutely it's been lovely. It's a lovely group. It's been really lovely to just sit and chat to you, to be honest.
Sit and chat. I know.
And you made me pull cards for people without even trying. And I've not only do I not read for other people, but to do it on a live. Oh my God.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry, Giselle. Sorry, not sorry.
It was okay. I mean, this little lot has been wonderful. Love your video. Your summertime.
We'll blame it on the shaman stick. Maybe that's another reason the shaman stick wanted to come today.
Thank you, Nancy. It's been what a lovely group. What a lovely time.
Fun group. It does feel like just we folk getting together and having a beverage and chit-chatting. Thank you all so much for being here. It has been it's my privilege to be here with you today. So I thank each and every one of you so much. And Thursday coming up, I have my Live with Jonathan. So we're going to be doing readings. What's your next event, Giselle?
I've got a witching and waffling on Wednesday. So I'm
on Wednesday.
Wednesday at 7. I think it should be with Jennifer Ball. I've not heard from her say that she's not coming. So, and if she's not coming, well, yeah, it's just going to be me waffling. But yeah, that fingers crossed it will be Wednesday, and you follow me on the Thursday. So mine's at 7 o'clock in the evening UK time. So yeah, it'd be nice to. It's a nice group that kind of all get together, and it's like having a lovely big coffee morning, or wine evening. So I hope to see you all there, and Betsy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And hey, I've been saying it every chance I get. Glastonbury 2022.
Oh, I'm going to the Glastonbury 2021. I am going. Simon, you cannot say anything. I'm booked. I'm going to be there, guys.
I'm shooting for 2022 just because I don't know what's going on here yet. So, but I just keep saying it. So if they want to speed it up and it turns out to be this year, I'm in. So yeah, better get that passport refreshed.
Somebody wanted to ask a quick question. I think we're Alyssa. Is that new here?
Alyssa, I'm sorry.
Question as in you want a reading, or question as in you've got a question? So happy to meet you, Giselle. Nice to meet you, Penelope. Thank you so much. Oh, bless you. You're so kind.
Yeah, Penny and I are going to be doing a live sitting side by side here in my house, my studio in Maui on the 21st. On the 21st, Sunday the 21st.
If she gets back from the whale swimming with you, is that right?
That's right. I don't see Alyssa's. I haven't seen her. Okay, wait, here we go.
Jordan is coming back to me. Oh, it's a reading she's asking for.
Thanks for coming in, Alyssa. I'm a medium and channel, so I don't really do fortune telling so much, but I'm happy to pull a card for you real quick.
Me.
No, it's not Giselle. It's not Giselle's thing either so much, but we'll pull a card. I'll pull a card.
I'll pull
will
one
ask
too.
the cards for Alyssa if Jordan is coming back.
This will be interesting because I don't do fortune readings.
Not at all. No. That proved to be a real challenge for me in Sedona when I was doing 20-minute walk-ins, because that's everybody wanted to know their relationship, their job, and
all I'm getting is reversals today. I'm going to say no, but I don't know.
I'm going to say I'm getting the Wheel of Fortune, but what I'm reading here is the cycles. If you guys have been on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off, or even if this is the first time you're off and you're wondering if you're going to get back on, that's going to be a repeating pattern for you. That if you're, no, you go, Giselle.
I'm just gonna. Sorry, Betsy. I'm just gonna say that I think you need to look inward here at what works for you, and maybe this is more a time of self-reflection and healing for you, and to be sure that what you want is actually good for you. That's the only way I would interpret that, and that's I don't know your history, but
if being separated from him is terribly uncomfortable for you, ask yourself if you're willing to repeat this 4 or 5 times before you consider going back to him. That's what I'm getting. Because if the discomfort outweighs the comfort of being with him, if it's if it's a strain for you, then just to know that this is a relationship that's cyclical in nature. So, okay, wait a minute. Giselle, that was Giselle's last swig of wine. And we've been on for
quite a while. Nearly 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours, and it just feels like a minute. So thank you everyone that has hung in there with us so much. Thank you everyone that's come. Giselle, thank you, my dear. Love you so much.
And you, darling. Always.
And I'm going to sign off to the broadcast, and Giselle, stay with me for just a minute.
Will do.